So after what seemed like the longest week ever, we finally have some more Sukuna versus Gojo action, and this chapter definitely does not disappoint, guys. Like, there's literally 15 straight chapters of just action, absolutely no dialogue, and Gege really outdid himself choreographing this one because it's on such a massive scale, unlike anything we've seen before, and it's very fitting for the two strongest sorcerers in history, right? Also, if you haven't noticed, I'm whispering right now because it is super late where I am, so hopefully it doesn't sound too weird on your end, but nonetheless, let's get started. The chapter starts with Sukuna trash talking Gojo. Gojo Satoru, you are just a fish on the cutting board, just a little lively than the others, a fish without a name. First, I'll get rid of your scales. So kind of continuing this chef theme with Sukuna that's been kind of alluded to throughout the manga. Maybe this is an allusion to his actual curse technique that might be getting revealed soon. Won't be in this chapter though. But moving on. Gojo asks Sukuna why he's still keeping that face and says that he went through some special training. But Gojo says that he can punch Megumi without mercy because he looks like Toji. Gojo says he'll think about Megumi after killing Sukuna. So I think that's a pretty interesting bit of dialogue, right? Gojo assumes that Sukuna kept Megumi's face in order to kind of deter Gojo from fighting him, but apparently Gojo's gone under some kind of training to kind of repress his emotions, I'm assuming, which would also kind of explain why he's been so nonchalant about all the updates he's gotten since he was unsealed, with like Nanami's death and Yaga's death, things like that. And also I think it's pretty funny that he adds that he could punch Megumi no problem because he kind of looks like Toji. I thought that was a pretty funny touch. So after this, Gojo versus Sukuna officially begins with like a hand-to-hand combat fight, and the leaker literally says no talk for 15 pages from now. So essentially everything after this is just explaining the choreography of the entire fight. And also I think I have to mention that the leaker Miyamura also points out that this entire chapter is filled with Togashi, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Hunter x Hunter references. I really couldn't find them, and I'm a fan of both of the series, so if you guys find these references, then leave them in the comments below. You guys are all smarter than me anyways, right? So as I said, the next few pages is just me describing the choreography of this fight, and I'll try to throw up some panels here so you guys can kind of follow along visually, but couldn't add everything here. So make sure to subscribe for the full chapter breakdown once I get full pages and translations and all that stuff. So the fight starts with a clash between both of them, and then Gojo dodges a punch from Sukuna by totally laying on the floor. He then proceeds to blow Sukuna through a wall. So Sukuna is blasted through buildings and pillars, but just as he regains his stance, Gojo starts chasing Sukuna by power stabbing his foot wherever he is and breaks down the bridge they were on. So essentially with every step, Gojo is just crumbling the bridge that they're on, so he has no stable footing. Gojo lifts the piece of bridge where Sukuna was and throws it towards a building while Sukuna is on it. So that bridge that Gojo just broke down, in order to keep Sukuna off his footing, he uses a piece of it to throw at Sukuna. Sukuna escapes the crash and points his fingers towards Gojo and says dismantle. Sukuna's dismantle slashes off the building behind Gojo. Now the leaker here kind of questions whether Gojo evaded it or the slash just bounced off his infinity. Very good question, you can't really tell from the panels that are provided. To me it does seem like Sukuna just kind of dismantled the portion of building behind Gojo for it to kind of crash on top of him, but I guess we'll know more once the full chapter comes out. But moving on, Sukuna tries to power punch Gojo as the previously sliced off building starts to fall, but Gojo's infinity doesn't allow Sukuna's punch to land, yet Gojo turns off his infinity and grabs Sukuna as they crash into the building. So that's a pretty interesting detail. It still seems like Sukuna hasn't figured out a way around infinity without using Maharaga or something, and Gojo of course has his wits about him to kind of use that to his advantage. Gojo and Sukuna proceed to fight inside the falling building. They put up a door in between each of them and both prepare to punch through them. And this sequence alone, I just can't imagine how it's going to get animated like years from now once this part starts getting adapted. I mean, this would look so awesome in just like a live action movie. I just can't imagine how amazing it's going to look in the Mappa adaptation. Man, this part got me so excited. The building that Gojo and Sukuna were fighting in completely crashes to the ground and turns to complete rubble, and Gojo and Sukuna casually walk out of the dust and smoke from the building crash. Gojo then says, "I'm gonna make it your fault for all this catastrophe," and Sukuna just says, "Look who's talking." But in response, Gojo comically remembers that Mei Mei is recording the whole thing, and we were made aware of that, a few chapters prior when everyone was kind of getting ready for this fight, that Mei Mei was pretty much hosting a whole betting scenario around this fight. So yeah, it was a good reminder that people are watching, because I honestly completely forgotten the excitement of this whole fight, so it's a nice reminder. Well, the chapter ends mentioning mentioning that there will be a break next week. So unfortunately, we're not going to get the continuation of this fight for another 2 weeks, but I'm so happy for what we got. It looks so amazing, and I just can't wait to get the full chapter once we get some good scans. So again, make sure to subscribe as soon as, that stuff comes out, because I'll definitely be covering it on this channel. Hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful night, and I'll see you in the next video.